Hello and welcome to the True Paranormal. Today I'm going to be reading out the article I wrote about Derren Brown, was published probably a few days ago now. I always aim to publish these ones on the previous Friday to this live stream. I think this one was out slightly late. Um, but yeah, so it's all about the magician Derren Brown. Because one of the things I want to do for the database is not only document haunted locations, or types of spirits or artifacts, but I also want to document the people who have been involved in the paranormal. So I've kind of dubbed and tagged them as paranormal influencers because they have influenced the paranormal in some way. So they have influenced how we today perceive it. So that can be anything like regarding, so people who come under that bracket will be members of paranormal teams, it'll be magicians, psychics, skeptics, anyone at all who is interested or who has had an influence. Even like YouTubers, things like that. Anyone at all who has affected public perception of the paranormal because of their involvement, they are a paranormal influencer. So today we're going to be reading about Derren Brown, who, as I said, is a magician. He's modern. He's still around today. He first appeared on TV, I believe, in the year 2000. But yeah, so we'll find out more obviously as I read the article. So I hope that you enjoy. And afterwards, of course, this video, this live stream will be uploaded to YouTube. So thank you very much if you're watching on YouTube. I upload a video like this every Wednesday. Today I am streaming slightly earlier at the time of 6 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock on Facebook, because I'm going to be streaming a bit earlier on TikTok later on today, because usually I stream on TikTok at 10 in the afternoon, or 10 in the evening, however you want to phrase it, but today it's going to be from 8. Anyway, so, the article. Derren Brown. Derren Brown is a famous English magician and mentalist. His fame began from the year 2000 with a series of specials called Mind Control. He has since made a number of television shows, written various books, and conducted stage performances. Along with his interest in mentalism, Derren is also a keen painter and photographer. In being so knowledgeable about trickery, whether that be of the mind or of the senses, he has dabbled in debunking fraudulent claims of paranormal abilities. He has also conducted a seance which featured a number of techniques used by fraudulent psychic mediums. He does not possess any magical powers or psychic ability, regardless of his performances indicating the contrary. Derren Brown does not believe in the supernatural, but is intrigued by claims of it. History. Derren Brown was born on the 27th of February 1971 in Purley, a town in the London borough of Croydon in England. His parents were Chris and Bob Brown, and he was the first of 2 children. His younger brother is called Dominic Brown. Derek was educated at Whitgift School, which is in South Croydon. Derren's dad was a swimming coach at this school. Derren then went on to study both law and the German language at the University of Bristol. While here, he found himself inspired when he saw Martin S. Taylor perform. Taylor was a hypnotist, and so Derren decided to pursue hypnosis as a career. During his undergraduate studies, Derren began working as a conjurer and performed close-up magic tricks in bars and restaurants. This is when he spent lots of time developing his skills in magic and hypnosis. At the age of 21, during the year of 1992, he started performing stage shows at the university under the stage name Derren B. Brown. The V stood for Victor, which I believe is his middle name. As a teenager, Derren was an evangelical Christian, but in his 20s he became an atheist. His study of the Bible and other Christian-related texts couldn't answer the questions he had, and so he jumped to the conclusion that there was no basis for his belief in religion. However, despite being both atheist and skeptical of supernatural claims, he has said that this belief can too often narrow into a rigid and negative approach, which can fail to get its message across. It can also disregard our vital search for meaning, which repeatedly trumps our need for truth. After graduating from university, he continued developing his skills while living in Bristol for the next 10 years in a small flat. It was during these 10 years that he came to own a parrot and an overstuffed library. He also liked to wear a cloak and suspects he was a bit of a dick at the time. Apparently, he was a kleptomaniac during his youth and stole items from shops. He mentioned in interviews that shoplifting is a natural attraction for magicians who are looking for methods to slip something into the pockets unseen. Some sources have said it was during 1992 that Derren made his TV debut, but this seems incorrect, and the 1992 date is likely muddied with the date he first began performing shows. The correct date for his first TV debut is the December of the year 2000. By this time, Derren had met Jerry Sadowitz, a magician and comedian, at the International Magic Shop in Clerkenwell, London. Jerry put Derren in touch with H&R Publishers and Objective Productions. It was through these connections that Derren began his TV career with a series of specials called Mind Control, which was all launched by Objective Productions. Mind Control was an instant success, and Derren went on to make many more TV programs. Contradictory to this information, it's been said that Derren first gained fame with a special called Derren Brown's Trick of the Mind, which is a Channel 4 program that aired during the year 2000. From what I can find, this all seems incorrect. Tricks of the Mind is a book Derren Brown published during 2006, and IMDb lists Derren Brown Trick of the Mind as a TV series dating back to 2004. It's important to say here, and I will discuss it later on in the article, but there was one particular source which appeared credible because I think it was like John Finch Magician, something like that. It was an article that looked like it had been typed up by a magician about a magician. So you would think, oh, this is credible, it probably made, this is probably accurate. And some of the stuff in there was accurate. But when it came to the TV programs and the dates regarding when the TV programs occurred, there's a lot of stuff that source muddied. And yeah, it's rare that I actively double check a source, as it were, because when I write an article, I have about 70 sources open and I'm reading through them all. So they're all kind of, instead of me having to search something extra, all of the sources are kind of compared to one another. So if they all agree, then I'm like, okay, this is like 70 different sources saying this is a thing. So I take that as fact. But, which, to be fair, you shouldn't probably do that, because with certain things, they may have just copied and pasted from one another, right? But when it came to this, because of the nature of it, because it was dates of TV projects, it was weird, because then I was finding in other sources saying, oh no, it was this other thing, it was this date, and I was like, well, why is the TV stuff that's messed up? So then I had to double search it and go to IMDb and find out, oh yeah, this source is just wrong. So I did have to double check a lot of stuff from this source, because it was very contradictory to the other sources. Anyway, yeah, so back on track now. Regarding the dates of Derren Brown's TV involvement, it seems like there are a few incorrect dates. For instance, I found that The Heist was a TV special that won a Royal Television Society Award in 2003. This is incorrect, as IMDb lists the programme as having first aired during 2006. It's also been said that Fear and Faith had two series which aired during 2003 and 2004. IMDb contradicts this by saying it was a TV miniseries which first aired during 2012. It's also been said that Mind Control aired in 2002, and in reality this aired in the December of the year 2000. Trick of the Mind aired during 2004, and it's been said that this show won 2 BAFTAs during 2006 and 2007. And I will say here, when it comes to the information regarding winning awards, BAFTAs, all of that, they may very well have done. I'm not certain on it though, because it's come from that one particular source. So I don't know if that is true. I did try and search for if it has won awards. I couldn't find anything in particular. That doesn't mean it hasn't. It just means that I've not then found it. It might just be me being a bit thick when it comes to searching for it, but yeah, I try and point out all the inconsistencies that I can in this article, but that one source, honestly, and it's annoying too, because that one source took me from, I think, about 6 pages of notes on Derren Brown to 12. So, just because it did provide a lot of extra information, which then turned out to be dubious at best. So, And also, I'll point out, the reason why I'm quoting IMDb a lot is because, as far as I'm aware, IMDb is kind of the leading film website. Yeah, that's as far as I'm aware, that's kind of like the film database. Um, which is why I double checked it to IMDb and not multiple other places, or because I trust that IMDb is credible. Could be wrong with that, but this is why I've listed both dates, because it's weird as well, because they're wildly different dates. For one of the things being 2003, 2004, but in reality it seems it could have been 2012. It's like, I get if it's a year off, but being way off, this is why I lost credibility for that other source. Anyway, I've also found that during 2005 he presented Derren Brown versus the Devil, and that during 2006 he won 2 BAFTAs for the works. The categories were for Best Entertainment Performance and Best Television or Radio Commercial. He is also said to have taken part in a celebrity version of The Colour of Money for the NSPCC. It's also said on the 10th of June 2006 he made a 4-minute appearance on Children in Need when he performed a mentalism routine involving Paul Merton and Johnny Vaughan. Apparently on the 20th of October 2006 he appeared as himself in Extras, where he was interviewed by Ricky Gervais about a new TV special, Killer Karaoke. It's important to say at this point that I highly doubt the validity regarding this TV information. For anything where I've said something like apparently, or it said that, it's best to not take this information as accurate. Anything dubious has all come from the John Finch magician source, which I will link at the end of the article. I have included it here to highlight what's been said online that may be incorrect. Interesting about the Ricky Gervais interview, because I was like, oh, sure, there's a clip of that on YouTube or something. So I tried searching it, and he seems to have worked with Stephen Merchant before. He may have worked with Ricky Gervais before, but there was nothing coming up regarding this specific interview. And as for Killer Karaoke, that, as far as I'm aware, Derren Brown has no involvement with that program. It's a program that exists, but nothing to do with Derren Brown, as far as I can tell. So I don't know. Is the best thing to say there. But Derren Brown strikes me as someone who has had a good TV career, and I don't want to sit here and say, oh yeah, he's not worked for Children in Need, he's not raised money for the NSPCC, which is why I was a bit gutted that it was just this source that had said those details. But so take everything lightly. Don't necessarily judge this stuff as absolute fact, just because that source has been wrong on a number of things. So if you are doing any sort of research involving, Derren Brown, these are details that you will need to double check in your research, because I'm not 100%. So apparently during the November of 2006, Derren also presented a one-off 50th anniversary edition of Magic Mystery, where famous tricks and illusions from the past were recreated with modern technology to show how they were done during that time period. The show was apparently nominated for the Best TV Special at the British Academy Television Awards. It's also said that during the September 2008, The Experiments first aired. IMDb lists this program as having first aired during 2011. Apparently, this program was an experiment in psychology that investigated how people related to their environment through their senses and emotions. This source has also said Derren Brown Apocalypse aired during the November 2010, but IMDb lists this as first having aired during 2012. It's also been said that Derren Brown Apocalypse was his first American TV project, and that it tested the mind's willingness to trust or betray an individual based on certain situations. During this segment, the source contradicts itself and says it aired during the April of 2008. Again, it seems 2012 is the correct year. This source has also said he appeared during a Doctor Who episode titled The Doctor's Wife during the August of 2011. And this is the thing that kind of told me that the source was wrong, because I'm a big Doctor Who fan and I do not remember Derren Brown appearing in any of the episodes. Not only is the air date wrong, as it actually aired on the 14th of May 2011, but I can't find any evidence of him having appeared in Doctor Who at all. However, Derren has apparently been mentioned a number of times in Doctor Who related media. This source has also said Derren first stated his interest in paranormal investigations while presenting Apocalypse Live at the Royal Albert Hall on the 28th of March 2013. Apparently he said he would like to investigate it further if conditions would allow it. Again, this seems incorrect as I have found no further evidence of this performance having occurred. Another seemingly false piece of information is regarding something incredibly serious, which is why I have to point it out here. The John Finch magician source has said that during the December of 2009, Derren was accused of being responsible for the death of a man during a performance at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It continues by saying Michael Smiley died in his home in Edinburgh 7 days after being admitted to hospital with an undisclosed illness. He had bought a ticket to see the show The Imposter and later claimed it left him ill. Apparently, during the January of 2010, Derren was cleared of blame as the jury concluded there was a chance that Mr. Smiley would have died regardless of seeing the show. I have found no evidence aside this one source which has been seemingly incorrect about a number of things that these events ever took place. Because again, it's one of those situations where I was like, this is serious, it's a dodgy source saying it. I'm going to Google it to see if I can find any newspaper coverage. I couldn't. So I would take that very, very lightly. And this is why I had to still mention it, because it could potentially be libel, I think it's called. Dragging someone's name through the mud by saying, oh, look, he went through this whole court case, and he may never have done. As I say, it might just be a case of I've not found an article on it, or I've not found anything else saying about it. It might just be I've not looked hard enough, but it seemed like only this one source was discussing it, which isn't great. This source has also said that during 2015, Derren was named as one of the Sunday Times 100 most influential people in the UK. This source also lists a number of books which Derren Brown has written, and these do all exist. These books are Pure Effect, Absolute Magic, Tricks of the Mind, Confessions of a Conjurer, A Book of Secrets, Portraits, Happy, A Little Happier, and Meet the People with Love. Some of these books are geared towards the general public, some are aimed at magicians, and others contain his artwork and photography. It's been said that Derren Brown is considered a leading figure in the field of mentalism and psychological illusion. During the May of 2004, Channel 4 aired Derren Brown Seance. This demonstrated various methods which were used by Victorian spiritualists. This was conducted in an old hospital in East London, and he begun by explaining to volunteers from Roehampton University that the halls had a history of paranormal activity following the suicide pact of 12 people during 1974. At the time, it was the most complained about TV programme in history, as it received 487 complaints. Derren has won Olivia Awards for Something Wicked This Way Comes, which aired during 2006, and Svengali, which aired during 2012. Other famous stage shows of his include Infamous, Enigma, and An Evening of Wonders. Derren revolutionised the art of mentalism as he lifted it out of a traditional format and into a new concept of exciting entertainment. His performances, as shown during the seance, can often expose faith healers and psychic mediums. The performances are also demonstrations of psychology, intuition, hypnosis, memory techniques, interpretation of body language, suggestion, misdirection, sleight of hand, and showmanship. It's thought that he has developed techniques that explore the traits and characteristics of participants by looking into their personalities. It's also thought that he taps into their emotions. Derren Brown can apparently quote whole pages from a dictionary and can duplicate a secret drawing almost immediately after it was drawn while unseen. There is also a rumour that Derren has been banned from all casinos in Britain, as they fear he will read the cards. I have found that apparently some casinos do welcome the publicity he brings to them. In an interview from 2007, Derren has said he was gay and has talked openly about his sexuality in other interviews. During 2011, he said he is happily in a relationship. Derren is also a patron of the Parrot Zoo Trust Eastern Lincolnshire, England. He has said he is a big fan of parrots and owns one along with 2 dogs. He also collects taxidermy and can play the ukulele. It has been said he wants to play the piano, but another source has said he can play the piano. Perhaps he has learned how to play since one source was written. He also collects vintage magic memorabilia and admires the magician's Penn and Teller. Another detail I found is that Derren is scared of heights and is scared of dying a slow death after falling from a height. It was during 2006 that Derren Brown's Ghost Train opened at Thorpe Park. This was after Derren spent 3 years in collaboration with the park designing an immersive ghost train. This ride blended 4D Grand Illusion, live action and special effects. At the time, it was the most expensive and most ambitious attraction that the park had ever offered. During 2007, the ride received a slight adjustment as it became Derren Brown's Ghost Train Rise of the Demon. This experience has been said to be darker and more tense than the ride's previous iteration. As I have never visited Thorpe Park myself, and so have never experienced this ride, I reached out to theme park enthusiast Sean Evans, who runs the YouTube channel Lift Hills and Thrills, for a quote about Derren Brown's Ghost Train. Sean provided the following statement. I always found Derren Brown's Ghost Train to be a real exploration of the unknown, incorporating a variety of techniques to unnerve and to scare you. Sadly, whilst detailed and immersive to a degree, the ride had fundamental issues with the use of VR headsets. Many experiences would be dampened by the use of these headsets, as uncalibrated visuals and blurry reused devices certainly detach you from the experience as opposed to immersing you within it. Riders of Derren Brown's Ghost Train would see a large Victorian carriage suspended in the air, and they would then be treated to a virtual reality experience within the carriage along with other surprises. The ride did lose the Derren Brown brand and was renamed as Ghost Train. It also ditched the VR aspect. Apparently, Derren would also go on his Ghost Train at Thorpe Park while in disguise, and he enjoyed upsetting children. During 2010, the TV programme Derren Brown Investigates aired. This programme looked into extraordinary claims around the world, including those of ghosts and mediums. This is one of many times Derren has looked into these topics. In the programme Secrets of the Paranormal World, the validity and existence of the paranormal was explored through experiments such as demon summoning, seances, and talking board rituals. This programme featured both Derren Brown and Uri Geller. Richard Dawkins, a renowned evolutionary biologist, interviewed Derren for his 2-part documentary, The Enemies of Reason. Dawkins' documentary sought to expose subjects such as mediumship, acupuncture, and psychokinesis. The Science of Scams was a web-based Channel 4 series where a number of videos were placed on YouTube showing various kinds of paranormal phenomena such as ghosts, telekinesis, and tarot card reading. In a second series of videos, Derren's co-presenter, Kat Akinbide, I'm not sure how you pronounce the last name there, explained what was really happening in the videos. Through this, each video, which seemed real, was exposed as a scam. As mentioned briefly earlier, Derren has done a number of stage shows. During 2007, his US debut Secret won the New York Drama Desk Award for Unique Theatrical Experience. He has toured with 8 sell-out one-man stage shows and is the first to do this in the history of magic. His shows have gained a record-breaking 5 Olivia Award nominations for Best Entertainment, and they won twice. He has had the largest number of nominations and wins for one-person shows in the history of the Olivia Awards. During 2019, he returned to the US for a sellout run on Broadway. He doesn't use stooges or plants to achieve his work, and the participants in his TV programs are genuine in their obliviousness to the magic. During the February of 2021, Derren appeared in a trailer for the horror game Little Nightmares 2, in which he narrated game footage while describing the nature of nightmares. He is also set to appear in The Simpsons for an episode airing on the 17th of December 2024. Also during 2024, he announced a live tour for 2025 called Only Human. One of his most successful TV performances saw him telling several members of the public over a few weeks that he had a foolproof system of choosing the winners of horse races. He then influenced them to bet large sums of money on the system. This was based on a confidence trick where Brown used different people to cover all possible outcomes. Brown has also convinced a group of pensioners to steal an expensive painting which was owned by a noted art dealer collector. This theft occurred while Derren told the collector the exact date and time the painting would be stolen, and the pensioners succeeded. In America, Derren convinced 5 leading figures that he had powers in their particular fields of expertise. These fields were Christian evangelism, alien abduction, psychic powers, New Age theories, and spirit communication. He has also successfully eliminated a person's phobia of flying to a point where they were willing to take control of an aircraft when it was suggested the pilot was incapacitated. One of his more controversial performances involved him playing a game of Russian roulette. This performance made some claim Derren was against gun control, and they said that the act tempted people with suicidal tendencies. He has also predicted the national lottery and hypnotized a man to assassinate Stephen Fry. In the UK, his name is now pretty much synonymous with the art of psychological manipulation. Derren is extremely open about his dishonesty in performances. He has said, "I am often dishonest in my techniques, but always honest about my dishonesty. As I say in each show, I mix magic, suggestion, psychology, misdirection, and showmanship. I happily admit cheating as it's part of the game. I hope some of the fun for the viewer comes from not knowing what is real and what isn't. I'm an entertainer, first and foremost, and careful not to cross any moral line that would take me into manipulating people's real-life decisions or beliefs." As mentioned earlier, Derren also likes to paint and do photography. He paints portraits and occasionally exhibits them. Portraits, his book of his caricatures, was published by Channel 4 Books during 2009. A selection of his original pieces and limited time prints are available to buy online, and they can cost £1,000. Regarding his photos, they are featured in his book Meet the People with Love. Many of his photos are also available to buy, and these can cost £150. His photos have been exhibited in London, and he maintains an online gallery on Instagram. More general information about Derren includes that he dislikes mushrooms and blue cheese. Also, he can't drive and loves classical music. He reads extensively about philosophy, existentialism, and psychology. Regarding his belief in the supernatural, he has said the following: "I have no belief in the supernatural or anything like that. I definitely wouldn't go and see a medium. I think they're a pretty unpleasant lot, really. I think there's a lot of well-meaning people out there, who genuinely believe they're psychic and genuinely believe still they can help people. But there's a slippery slope to people who are just kind of manipulative and in it for the worst reasons. In the moment, if you're there and you're vulnerable and you're looking for an answer, it can be convincing, and then it might even be helpful for some people. But that's very different from it being real." So that's the bulk of the article. Sorry about the occasional pauses. My tablet, which I'm reading the article from, has a crack down it. So, as you can imagine, the touch sensitivity is a bit on the fritz. So whenever I've been scrolling down the article, it's been zooming in at the same time. So, the My Thoughts section. I want to start this segment by reiterating the point I made earlier about the information provided about various television projects by the John Finch Magician source. Most of the information detailed on that website seems incorrect. I have done my best here to point out the particular things which are wrong and to correct them, but some may have slipped through the cracks. This source will be listed in the sources at the end if you want to read through it yourself to be sure on what is likely incorrect. As for my thoughts on Derren Brown, I was expecting to find more of a general involvement with debunking and investigating the paranormal, rather than it all being for TV purposes. A good example of what I expected is something akin to James Randi's feud with Uri Geller. I wasn't expecting Derren to have been sued, but I was expecting for sources to list particular cases he has worked to debunk. I haven't looked further into the TV programmes where he may do this, because I will likely write separate articles on these. The important thing for this article was not so much to document specific debunks or investigations, but rather to document the man that is Derren Brown, therefore his career, his achievements, and his life story. I think it's important for people such as Derren to be highlighted for their debunking work, especially today, as the public can be too trusting. Particular instances of this can be seen when it comes to certain TV programmes or YouTube channels. I know debunkers have been referenced by some people as untrustworthy and as toxic, so highlighting respected debunkers in the mainstream such as Derren Brown or older names such as Harry Houdini, I feel will help debunking emerge from what can be a negative light. And yeah, so that is the article. So please go and check out Lift Hills and Thrills as the YouTube channel, because they did provide a quote in here, which around that quote, in the paragraph before, I need to amend the article because there are a couple of spelling mistakes in that paragraph where I've written all sorts of random. But yeah, so please go and check out the YouTube channel Lift Hills and Thrills, because he's just a great, honest person. And like I say, he provided the quote. He's the only YouTuber I know who, if you message him, he will reply. It's like he'll try and reply to every single comment on his videos, which I know is quite a tough thing to do. So, yeah, but going on to my other point about the end of the article, the bit about debunkers, and it being important to highlight people such as Derren Brown for the debunking ability. I know recently there's been a bit of a stir with debunkers again, and it seems like a constant thing where there'll be a period of time where it's all calm, and then suddenly it'll kick up again because someone's called out debunkers. And I know I've had conversations with people in comments where they have said that they don't trust debunkers and they don't want to share their footage with debunkers and things like that. And it baffles me, because I straight away think if you're not willing to work with debunkers, then you're not legitimate, because that indicates not a rational distrust or dislike, but rather a I don't want anyone else to see my evidence and to pick it apart. I need this to be real, and they will tell me it's not. And that's not the right approach to go through. You need to, if you capture any evidence at all, you need to keep your mind open to scrutiny. You need to let people look at it and give their honest, unbiased opinions of what it could be, instead of just latching on to, oh, it's paranormal, it's definitely paranormal. Because 9 out of 10 times, if not more frequently than that, it's not paranormal when people share things. So yeah, people do need to trust the debunking community a bit more, I would say. And in terms of what I've seen from them, I don't think they're toxic or anything like that. I think that people just need an open mind. They need to, and they may be like, oh, but I do have an open mind. I think the paranormal exists. It's like, no. You need to be open the other way as well. You need to believe that it, not just that it could be real, but that it might also not be real, because it's neither at the moment. It's neither been proven or disproven. So, yeah. So it was important to raise that point at the end of the article. Anyway, yeah. So I hope that you've all enjoyed this particular live stream. Like I say, sorry for when I was reading out the article, it wasn't a particularly great flow, as it were, because my tablet kept on just spazzing out a bit. It was, I'm in need of a new tablet. But hopefully not yet. Hopefully it persists. But yeah, so thank you very much everyone for watching. I don't think I have anything else to say on the topic. And thank you very much if you've watched on YouTube, if you've watched on Facebook. I may upload this video to TikTok, we'll see, because I think it is a fairly short one. So yeah, so thank you very much everyone, and I hope that you all have a great week. So yeah, goodbye.